we are going to review Tony's top 10 CONCACAF players of all time, because we know that Tony Meola has such strong opinions to make these definitive lists that you cannot argue and that people won't come at him on social media because they disagree, right, Tony?
That's right. And if you need to come at me, it's at Nico Cantor 1 is where you can hit me up. Okay, so they asked me to put an all-time list together. And you know how much I love lists, as you mentioned, right? And I love rankings and all of that stuff.
Hold up. I understand their producer, Jelani, made you do this. But if I am not mistaken, yesterday, without any provocation, unprompted, you, sir, said that Keylor Navas was in your top 3 players to come out of CONCACAF of all time.
Correct.
So it got us thinking.
I know, and this is what we came up with. So what they told me to do, what the assignment was I take guys that are not currently playing, and I put them in a list of 10. I took one exception, and I'll get to that in a little. I took some liberties.
Okay, as you can.
So Eddie Pope for me is in the top 10 of every top 10 of the top 10s you want to put together. One of the best defenders we've ever seen. Tim Howard, I think, speaks for itself. Tab Ramos, you guys have heard me wax poetic about Tab Ramos year after year. I don't think still to this day there's a guy that we created in America that plays like him. Cuauhtémoc Blanco. Talk about one of the most creative players that we have ever seen in this region of the world. He was a terror to play against. He was a guy that unpredictability. You didn't know what was going to happen. He could turn a game on its head. I hated playing against him. Landon Donovan, for me, sits in this list, and I think that's pretty obvious. 4 of these 5 here obviously wore the red, white, and blue of the U.S. men's national team. Now,
I have a question, though, before we progress. When you say top 10 CONCACAF players of all time, it doesn't necessarily mean how successful they were with their national teams, right? It's the quality of player that they produced.
World Cup moments, a little bit of everything.
So the Tab one, you're very close with Tab. You guys grew up together, right? That is an eyebrow raiser for me, because most people in the modern era would have thought that a Claudio Reyna would be on this list. So what's the difference between a Tab and a Claudio?
The last moment of specialty. Go look at the Colombia goal we scored and the ball that he plays to Ernie Stewart. The way he crossed the ball, the way he attacked players 1v1. We still haven't seen it in the U.S. jersey, and I'm starting to get worried that we might never see it in the U.S. men's national team jersey. I mean, that's a bold prediction. But yeah, he was as special as it could come. Remember, when he went to Spain to play, there was nobody going to Spain, right? When Espanyol was looking at him and they couldn't figure it out with the Federation, there was nobody looking at American players. This guy was so special.
You know what's incredible about Tab? I saw him on Friday. He's so small.
Yeah.
So much quality for. I grabbed him. I was so happy to see him. I grabbed him with my 2 arms. I felt like I had him in my palms. He's so small.
Yeah, he and I being friends together, it's kind of an odd look, but it's a great friendship. Yeah. All right, let me move on to number 5. I think this guy could have put anywhere in here. Hugo Sánchez. Of course, I'm going back, and we're talking about 1986 World Cup. But this guy, he could do everything. He was probably, now that I think about it, probably the first CONCACAF player to have much success anywhere outside of CONCACAF.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy, you talk about wand of a left foot, magic, scoring bicycle kicks, doing everything sort of way ahead of his time. Hugo Sánchez, for me, number 5.
Pichichi for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
That's another level. It's another level.
And remember the narrative around Mexican players for so many years. They didn't travel well out of Mexico. They didn't do well traveling to Europe and playing at European clubs. Number 4, our man, the Deuce, is on here. Clint Dempsey. I think this one here is another one that kind of, these will all speak for themselves in the end. Clint Dempsey, for me, I still don't know. As much props as we give him, I think about the time that he played, what he did at Fulham, what he did at Tottenham, the doors that he broke down, and the way that he broke them down. If you know his story, there's no way Clint Dempsey should have been able to do what he did.
Yeah.
And the 3 hours of driving a day, when we've heard it time and time again, and if you don't know it, it's a fascinating story to go look up. Clint Dempsey, for me, sits at number 4, all-time CONCACAF.
Scored in 3 World Cups.
Pretty amazing. Go back a little bit further. Number 3, Dwight Yorke. You guys can wax poetic about him. I played against him at the Youth World Cup in qualifying, and this guy was, okay, think about a Trinidad and Tobago national team player going to the biggest club in the world at the time. Think about that move out of this region at that time, winning trophies under one of the most storied managers in the history of our game. Here is that Berhalter. And bodying up Big Gooch, right? So Dwight Yorke was about as good a forward as we've seen in this region in forever for me. So Dwight Yorke sits at number 3. Number 2, if we can get to there, you talk about defenders. We've had great defenders. I think Mexico has had the best, and that's Rafa Márquez. We know his journey to Barcelona. Currently assistant coach with the Mexican national team. So this has come full circle for him. Leader on the field, a guy that stamped his mark on every single game. And I know Red Bull fans will probably say, well, what about when he came to Red Bull towards the end of his career?
He came
right?
for the energy drinks.
Yeah, that's right. But he was, for me, playing against him, in these moments, he was a true leader for a national team. We talk about leaders at national team that wear that armband. Rafa Márquez, for me, for Mexico, defined that in every way, shape, and form that you can.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I took a liberty here.
Okay.
They told me, nobody that's currently playing, I cannot overlook a player in CONCACAF, in particular, a goalkeeper that won 3 Champions League titles, and Keylor Navas sits atop of the best players all time for CONCACAF. What say you guys?
Okay, so as part of the goalkeeper union, as you're taking liberties, I understand Keylor Navas, but you were alongside some of the GOATs in the goal. Brad Friedel, Casey Keller. How come they don't make the list?
I had Tim Howard on there, too. I played with Tim Howard as well. He was a teammate of mine. I was with him when he came up on day 1 as a pro. I put Tim Howard above those guys. So, look, for me, if it were up to me, I'd have put like 4 or 5 goalkeepers in this top 10 list. But you guys know how it goes. But Keylor Navas, for me, just and still at 38 years old, still changing games like he did just a few nights ago. So I hope you guys give me the slack here. That's my leeway that I gave myself in Keylor Navas. I just couldn't think of this list without putting Keylor Navas. Maybe I could say not currently in their prime anymore.
Right.
Maybe
it's difficult to argue against the 3 Champions Leagues that he won, with Real Madrid being absolutely pivotal in a lot of important games for the Galácticos. But let's spin it forward. There is quality in CONCACAF currently, the likes of Christian Pulisic, the likes of Alphonso Davies. Can they crack a top 10?
Okay, so if I was going to put Pulisic someplace, I probably would put him in this area right here. This is where I would put him, right here.
Careful, Tone.
Yeah.
There might be a podcast made about you if you do.
What if, but hold up, but what does he need to do to be able to solidify a spot in that area?
I still think we need to see some longevity from Christian Pulisic. He's still so young. I get his career has been long in terms of some other careers that we've seen, but Christian Pulisic is still young, right? And there's still things for him to do. I do want to see him he scored a goal already in the World Cup, but I want to see him lead his team to something at the World Cup past qualifying. And of course, we're hoping that happens in 2026. Right, who was the other one you said?
Alphonso Davies, who's already won a Champions League.
Yeah, Champions League winner.
Best left back in the world in 2020.
And a treble at that.
Yeah, he breaks into the top 10. I'm not quite sure where, because I don't put him ahead of these 4. No, I don't put him ahead of here. He would probably go in this region here as well, which would probably those 2 might knock these 2. It's hard for me to knock these 2 guys out, but you asked me the question. He would go in this 5-6 area for me.
All right, so in about 15 years or so, when they retire, we're going to revisit this conversation and see where these guys fall, Christian Pulisic and Alphonso Davies.
You guys let me know how that goes.
Well,